Hi, everybody. We're here for our 7th Park Slope Windsor Terrace Artist interview. We have Paula Rennis here tonight. We're very excited. Does a very interesting variety, or has a very interesting variety of pictures to show us tonight. Welcome, Paula. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Very good, very excited.
Well, good. Well, Paul, I want to know, before we get into the art, do you have anything about your background you want to tell us, like where you studied and so forth? Maybe you have a day job?
I'm, as I always say, Argentinian by nature, New Yorker by heart. I'm a graphic designer. I came to the US with a Fulbright scholarship to do a master's degree in packaging design. And I've been doing that and a lot of more things on the way, like teaching graphic design at CUNY and teaching private classes of design, art and collage and drawing, and working as a graphic designer and packaging designer.
It's interesting because you're teaching drawing and collage, but I didn't see any drawing or collage in your selection tonight.
Yes. You're. I mean, the illustrations that you're gonna see are basically drawings that it's a little bit the borderline in between a drawing and a painting, and
right.
it's
well, we all start from drawing.
Yes.
All right, let's see some of your pictures here. This is your studio. My gosh, look at that.
Yes.
And you were hanging from the rafters when you took this picture?
No, is that I have everything flat and in rolls, and so when it was time to put up some of the exhibitions last year, I had to unroll everything, flatten everything, see where things were, and start framing, stretching, and doing all that. Usually, it's messy, but it's not that. It doesn't look like that. Okay. This is a pre-mounting stretching.
Right.
I work on the wall or on that easels.
Well, we're going to see a wall next picture. Whoops. I don't know how that got in there, but there you are.
Yes. That's the wall behind me. This is my wall.
Oh, okay.
I share the studio with 2 more people, and this is my wall, and these are I have very large canvases, and I paint on top of the ladder. That's the easiest I find. I rotate the canvas and but paint on the wall, on the ladder.
Interesting.
Well, sometimes when it's my height is not too great, so and these are very large.
You'd have to be very tall to not need a ladder for those images. They're like 4 or 5 feet square.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a series that I saw at the last group exhibit for Park Slope Windsor Terrace Artists. Yeah. It has a lot of meaning to you, and I think there's a background to this. There must be a background to this, I'm sure.
Yes. This is basically how I started believing that I could do something as a painter. I always believed that I was a graphic designer, and it was very hard for me to believe something else. But I started taking painting classes at the Art Students League around 2002, I think. And I was never interested in painting figure. But I was taking classes that had live models, and usually I was not painting them until we had a model that was a dancer. So the poses that she was doing were a lot more interesting than any other like stiff model that wouldn't really call my attention. So I started doing figure, and while I was doing that, I saw a documentary, and then I read a book of two journalists from the New York Times that it really shocked me of women, the problems that women were having just because of being women. And I had in my mind, there was no recollection of such a thing, but there was one piece of information that really shook me. And it was that more women had died in the last 50 years because of being women than men during the wars in the 20th century.
Wow, that's a strong statistic.
And yeah, and it was of being strong and being super energetic. And so, and at that time also, my friends and some of my family members were getting pregnant. And so I started seeing the transformation of that bodies and, the ability to generate a life.
Right.
And,
well, speaking of that, let's go on to this pregnancy series.
Yeah, so basically started I started seeing all these shapes, the volumes coming up, and the energy that generated. So I asked, this was the first photography I did. I asked a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, that she was pregnant, if she could be my model. So I took her to a studio, and I started photographing her. So this is the process of how do I do with all of the women, but this is one.
So you go from
color
to black and white to abstract it a little bit?
To realize, to see the tones. And then I go to, I add contrast to start minimizing the shades, the shades of gray, because 50 Shades of Gray are too many for my, so I tried to get to, I would say 4, more or less. I don't do it thinking. It's a lot more intuitive. But after that, I do tracing on the image. And so I determine the areas that I would like to divide with what's going to be following the different colors. Then I do tones of color experimentation, tones. So I get, for that, I get
Is this on a smaller scale at this point?
Yes, this is on a smaller scale. I start, when I do the tracing, maximum could be a tabloid size. Or even a letter size.
Very different colors here you're experimenting with.
Yes, I do a lot of that, all that in Photoshop, where I start like thinking about the energy that I need of that for that picture. I do crop it the way I like it. So I start looking at the colors, and then I'll do the grid.
Yeah, because you want to make it big.
Old style, yes.
And this is what happens.
And
Little
that's how
pretty big.
it ends. Yes,
That's at the Awesome Gallery last October.
yes.
Yeah, very impressive.
So, but the
And
process
you
is the
wanted to do
same.
these pictures big, I think, because must have had a reason for wanting it big.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just, it's really strange how all this happens, because you don't realize until it happens, you know? You go working on it and you feel the need of doing it big. You feel the need of making it bold and almost being loud and like almost like screaming, you know?
Yeah, well,
Um,
that is bold and loud. This is just something you did fairly recently, but then the pandemic hit, and what happened?
yes. Well, the women's series, it's been going on for like 14 years.
Oh, I
It
didn't
have
realize
it
that
has
long.
it hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah.
I always keep looking and researching and doing.
Yeah.
But yes, the pandemic hit, and my anxiety went overboard, and I just needed to do something completely opposite to what I was doing with the women. That everything is like so studied, so well researched and done, that when I get to the canvas, I know exactly what I'm doing and not what color I'm doing. So I needed to do something completely the opposite. So I needed to, and basically then I realized it was like trying to mimic what was going on outside. It was something I could not control. So I took a medium that I had no idea. I never worked with watercolors, and it would allow myself to do wrong, do bad, do not care, not have any control, and not have any care of what would come out. So that's how I did.
And you did, and then this was a little bit more controlled, but again, very different for you.
Extremely different.
Yeah. This is something you saw that you.
Yeah, because I started looking again, as Susan said, she was starting to look for things inside.
Yeah.
So.
But does this represent your bedspread?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Wow.
for. Yeah.
And then you also. We have a lot of pictures here, so we're going to go relatively quickly. But
yeah,
you decided the quarantine was a fertile period for you.
Tremendous! It was tremendous.
So you're going from enormous paintings of pregnant women to completely loose and free watercolors of God knows what, to shoes. And you entered your Andy Warhol stage. Now, yes. I've got to know, do you own all these shoes?
No. No, it was the ones that I owned and painted. They're not in the.
Oh, really? None of these.
No, none of these. And same.
Do you do commissions? Could you come paint my shoes?
Yes. The next ones are a commission that I'm starting now.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, but this happened also as a way of connecting with people.
Yeah.
I did mine.
Yeah.
And I sent it to friends, and people started asking me if I could paint theirs. And then I started asking everybody, hey, do you wanna send me your shoes? I'll paint them. And so I would tell them how to photograph them. And that's how it happened.
It's just amazing. The other thing is, it's not your medium, watercolor.
Oh, no. I had no idea.
And
had no idea.
You obviously did very well.
I was looking at artists that I liked and see if I could find out how what the technique was, how to do it.
Yeah.
So just by looking, I started just basically copying the techniques, see
Yeah.
if I could get the technique right.
Yeah.
And so that's how it
And you did.
came, how the shoes came about to be.
Well, Paula, I want to thank you. This has been a great interview. Really appreciate it. And what a wonderful range of work you showed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I want to thank you, the whole group that to me, I'm new to the group.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to keep meeting
Right.
the
All right. Well,
group.
thank you.